Good morning, this is Jerry Scott with the FDOT Seaport office. Today we are providing training on SeaHUB, the new grant management software that is replacing the legacy SeaSIP solution. Black Cat, the software vendor, will be providing a step-by-step walkthrough on how to input FSTED Seaport Project applications and how to update your contact information in SeaHUB. This training is being recorded and will be hosted on the FDOT Seaport office's YouTube channel. With that, take it away, Black Cat.
Thank you, Jerry. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the training for SeaHUB Grant Management. My name is Annette, and I'll be your SeaHUB guide today. I'm joined by Kim and Lorraine, who will be assisting me and helping getting your questions answered. Due to the size of the training, you are on listen-only mode. The DOT is here to help answer your questions, so if you have any, please place them in the question area here within GoToWebinar. You will be getting access to the system on April 30th. You'll receive a link by email to set up your own password. This link expires after 48 hours, so if you happen to be out of town or miss the opportunity to update and set up your password within that period, you can just reach back out to the FDOT Seaport office and they'll send you another reset email so you can set up your password. To access SeaHUB, this will be the new URL, so flchub.com, and you will be able to begin submitting applications on Friday, May 2nd. And applications will be due by Tuesday, June 17th. All active projects, which are currently in SeaSIP, are in the process of being moved over to SeaHUB. Users will be able to access SeaSIP, and it's being converted over to read-only, so it's going to be an archive reference for you now and in the future. The applications that we'll be talking about today and that you will be able to apply for coming up starting next week will be the FSTED application for fiscal year 2027 and the FSTED Seaport Security Grant projects for fiscal year 2026. And there is a note there regarding the Seaport Security Grant projects that still requires a letter to FSTED for consideration. But these projects are being added into SeaHUB for consistency purposes. Since SeaHUB is a new platform, there will be no reapply capability this year. So please re-enter any past project information into SeaHUB for FSTED consideration on that type of a project. And then all the new projects that are being added this year will be able to be reapplied for during the next FSTED application cycle in 2026. So today we're going to be covering how you are going to apply for a project. That covers these 5 different areas. So information about your project, answering application questions, providing key documents, asking for the funding request, and then submitting your application. We're going to head over now and do our demonstration. Just so you know, we do conduct training in a test environment, so it might look a little different. And the data, of course, is not real data, but the processes and the steps that we'll do today are the same that you'll be doing next week. So this is the SeaHUB login page. If you can't remember your password, there is a little bit of a self-help here on the login page. So if you ever forget your password, you can click this forgot password link, and it will step you through processes to get your password reset. In addition, there's a troubleshooting document here, which is information on how you do that reset, and also information on if you might not be getting emails from the system. It can also provide some information about that for you. So I'll log in and we'll get started. When you log in, you arrive on the dashboard. The dashboard has this welcome information, which contains helpful information from FDOT on the grant programs, and these messages will change from time to time. So it's great to come on down and look at news and announcements and see what's coming soon. On the dashboard, you'll also see various widgets, including favorite projects and grant opportunities listing. The grant opportunities listing is an easy place to start a new application by selecting apply. And we'll come back here after our tour of the remaining features to give it a try. On the top right corner of the page, we'll see some useful features. That includes My Account. My Account is a great place to update and save your contact information, or you can even reset your password here. We'll head back to the dashboard. Also at the top is you can log out. So when you're finished completing your work for the day, you can log out of the system. And then there's also Widget Management. Widget Management allows you to choose which widgets to display and their order on your dashboard. And this is customizable to you as an individual. So you can reorder how these widgets appear. Lastly, in the top right is the Help menu. Here you'll find guides and tutorial videos on how to use the system. On the bottom right corner of every page, you'll see the support phone number for Black Hat support and a contact support email where you can list, if you're having problems, you can write an email and someone will respond back to you. On the top left menu bar, you'll see different aspects of the program. We have organization management. This is where you can find your projects and your applications which are underway. And then we also have global documents, which is a location where DOT can share important documentation. I'll take a pause here. Kim, do we have any questions at this time?
No, there are no questions yet.
Thanks, Kim. Okay, so we'll dive into organization management. When you arrive in organization management, you'll see here your organization that you're associated to. So today, I'm associated to the Port of Palm Beach. On the left menu bar, I can go look at general information about my port. And if I need to make any changes, I can edit the information here in case there's like an address change or something that needs to be updated. The same goes for financial information, which shows a couple different informational numbers that the DOT uses related to your port. And then within general documents, this is a great place where we're going to load in and have you guys load in your master plan, your comp plan here into global documents, because these can be referenced as part of your application. Under the Projects tab, you'll be able to see your listing of current projects associated with your organization and your user profile. We can see the listing of projects here. So we just have 2 projects currently in this test environment. And you can see the different statuses that are associated with these projects. So we can see our project status, and we can also see our application status. So we have one project that is, the review is complete, and we have one project where the application is underway. By clicking on the project title, we can pull up the project information. So we'll click on this Port-Wide Slip Redevelopment Project. The top section provides an overview of information, including the project manager, contract, and funding information. Below are some project details, which contain basic information about the project. On the left menu bar, you'll see we are on the Project Details tab. We were previously on the Project Listing tab. So we'll just continue down the left side here. And the next tab is Project Funding. So on Project Funding, you'll see this blue navigation bar in the middle of the screen. This, as you can see, we are on the requested funds. So we can see the requested funds on this, the budget for this particular project. If funds are already allocated, I can click the Allocated tab and see funds that are allocated to the project. This will also be where future adjustments or comments are located for these funds. On the Application tab, Once your application is in process, you will see this progress bar, which shows where your project is currently in the process, and we can see that this is completed. Contract, invoice, payments, and milestone reporting will be covered in future trainings. And archived applications will be important next year when you reapply for an existing project in SeaHUB. Then your former project applications will all be shown here in archived applications. As we continue across the top menu, Contracts and Invoices tab provides a quick look location to see your project's contracts and invoices. There are a variety of filters that you can use to limit and search for different items. And you can see here just a sample of what one would look like related to this port-wide slip redevelopment project. I'm going to skip applications because we'll come right back to that. On the Contacts tab, here you can add other Seaport contacts and update your contact information. So here is just a sample test user, but in here, I would be able to update, say if my phone number changed, I would be able to update that here. You keep your contact information one time, and it's used in a number of different places. We only have to maintain it in one location. It's just reported differently out. So if you do change your phone number, it will be reflected everywhere. I'm going to take a pause for questions before we start applications. Kim, any questions?
Nope, there are no questions yet. Thank you.
Okay, great. We'll head over to the Applications tab. When you get to here, you'll get to a tab called My Applications. Here you'll see all the applications by status. So you'll see applications underway, where we have Warehouse 11 test project, applications under review, there aren't any here yet, and then applications that have been completed, like this port-wide slip redevelopment project. For applications that are underway, you can continue collecting information and work to submitting your existing application, and you can also add a new application here if you need to start another application. You can start that same process to add an application from the dashboard widget that we saw before, and we'll try it from there in a little bit. Applications that are under review are a waiting process by FDOT and their review partners, and they'll be in this status while they're awaiting those reviews. Applications that are completed have completed the review process, but they're just awaiting future steps like potential funding or contracting. So let's continue our work on this Warehouse 11 project. You can see that this is the FSTED 2027 test application that we're using. So once I click on this, you'll see a number of tabs across the top that sequence the information that's required in order to submit an application. There are going to be some variations in the project details, application questions, and if documents are required, depending on the application that you're doing. So in this case, you can see this is the FSTED 2027 application that I'm working on for warehouse number 11. You are going to be asked your project priority, and there is a listing of numbers here. And once you use a number 1, you will not be available to use again. You will have to use number 2 for the next project. There is project categories that can be used. So once I pick the project category, you'll see down here, the text will update and change. So if this is a building warehouse, then the scope of work by category will be automatically populated. You'll be responsible for putting in the project description, which is brief information about your project, specifically about the project you're submitting for. Please note that you will have to hit next or save and exit. If you just tab across, your information will not be saved. So we need to make sure that we hit next or save and exit. If I hit save and exit, maybe I'm going to lunch, I can come back here, I return back to my applications, and I can come back into the project once more when I return to continue my work on the project. Or if you need to pass the application over to a colleague for them to finish, then you would just save and exit and let them know that it was their turn to work on the project. For the FSTED application, there are a number of questions that need to be answered. I've taken the liberty of filling in most of these before this training. So you will be probably very familiar with the questions, as they're the same as those that were included in CSIP. Couple modifications is that you can collapse the sections. So if you're done with the general section, you can collapse it so you can focus on whichever section that you need to work on currently. You'll populate all the information in the section and then also save and exit or hit next. When I hit next, it sends me over to the next tab across the header bar. So it would take me over to upload documents. Okay, I'm going to take a pause here because I believe we got a couple of questions that are coming in. Kim, would you like to read those questions for the group?
Yes, I'm seeing one question. It says, is this only for grant applications, or can we retrieve a report like the Seaport Grant Tracker from this system?
Yeah, that's a great question. So thank you. Thank you for that question, Sharon. Yes, we will have full reporting features available once there is some more project data located inside SeaHUB. It'll be exactly like that we had before, and probably more reports actually than you had in CSIP. So great question on reports. Thanks. Okay. All right, thanks, Kim. We'll come back to you in a little bit.
Thank you.
Okay, here in upload documents, so we're cycling through the top menu bar. So here in upload documents, it says, map of project area required, yes. So if I was to go over and attempt to submit my application, it says all required documents are not uploaded. So I could attest, but I would never be able to submit my application because it's just not available. So I have to come back and submit the documents. So you'll see some visual cues like this that are helping you so you understand where you are and like what you might have missed as you go through the application process, especially if you're handing it off between two people that are completing the application. So here on the map, I have to upload my file. So I'll pick my map here for building 11. Then I'll upload that document. It'll list when I uploaded it. If somebody wants to download it, they can. If you wish to delete and remove the document and upload another one, you can also do that. At this point, I'll hit next. So now I could think, oh, maybe I'm done with my application. If I come over to submitting, I'll get another warning message, no funding request found. So it's another one of those triggers that says you're not quite done yet and you can't submit your application. So I do have to come back in to the funding request and add a funding request for my project. So here I'll add in my funding request. You'll see that the funding years are limited. So for different applications, there will be different years. In this case, for this application, 2027 is the year that I'm able to request. So I'm going to put in my requested amount, $1 million. I can pick the project phase also. So maybe I'll do that, environmental design and construction, and then I'm going to hit save. So at this point, it shows my state amount here in the table. I'm also going to add in my match amount. So you see here on the top, there's a toggle between requested and matched. So I'm also going to pick that for 2027. It's local, and I'm going to punch in my $1 million. 50, there we go. And I add my match. So at this point, I have added in my funding for state and local. And at this point, should be able to submit my information. So I have to hit this attest button. So once I hit attest and prove that this information is correct and accurate, I'll be able to submit this for review. And it says, thank you for submitting your application. All right, Kim, any other questions at this point in time?
Yes, we have a new question. It says, for clarification, prior unfunded applications in SeaSIP need to be entered into SeaHUB. It is not imported.
So great question. So prior projects are going to be imported. I'll maybe ask Jerry to clarify further, but prior projects are going to be that are currently funded, right, Jerry? Maybe you could answer that.
Yeah,
help
so,
us answer that one.
Yeah, so we're actively working to port over 128 active projects. So any projects that were not funded or allocated funding in prior years will not be in SeaHUB. It's only the active projects that we have contract execution for. So, you know, if you have a project from prior year that wasn't selected, allocated, and funded, you'll want to go into SeaHUB and resubmit it so it can be considered for this funding cycle.
Okay, thanks, Jerry. Appreciate that. Okay, any other ones, Kim?
That's all right now. Thank you.
Okay. All right, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so once we submit our project, we will see it down here in applications under review. So now this project is in verification pending, so it is waiting to be reviewed. So that's where our project is currently. Now, if we wanted to return to the dashboard and start a project here from the dashboard, we could do perhaps a security FSTED grant project. We'll just hit apply. It'll populate the name of your organization. It'll populate the grant opportunity. So you would just have to enter in the name of your project. So I'll just paste something in here. Once I save that, I come into the same location of my applications. So I'll once again want to pick the project category type of work. So it could be just maybe security IT here. It'll populate that scope of work again, and I'll have to enter in some information here, right? So let's see what I'm doing. I'll just capture some data I have and paste that here. A little bigger. And then I'll want to proceed through the same information. So if I hit next here, it'll take me over to the questions, and you'll see there are no questions here. So I don't have any application questions to submit for this project. If I hit next, I will see that there is a letter of support, but it's not required. So if I don't have it at this point in time, or I need to add it later on in the process, I can. If I have it now, I can upload it. So you just continue with the same processes, going through uploading documents, and then also adding in funding for your project here. And then if I return to my applications, we'll see I do have my remote surveillance enhancements is now an application that I have underway. And then I have one application that's under review for Warehouse 11. And then I have an application that's completed for port-wide slip redevelopment. If I go back and I look at my project tab, I will now see a couple different projects. You can see I have my one under application underway, one that's in that verification stage, and then another one that's my review is complete. Concludes our training for today. If you do have any questions, please reach out to your DOT District Seaport Coordinator. If you have questions about approvals or funding questions, they'll be the best resource for you to answer those. We do have a customer support center. As I mentioned, their phone number and their email is at the bottom right of every page. So if you need assistance with logging in, forgotten passwords, can't remember my username, or other technical questions on navigation, you can reach out to them at any point in time. Our regular business hours are 8 to 5 Eastern time, Monday through Friday for the support folks. You do want to identify that you are working in SeaHUB for FDOT. That helps them give you the best support possible as quickly as possible so they can navigate to the correct system to help you. We got a couple, I saw we got a couple questions coming in. This PowerPoint is available in the handout section of GoToWebinar, so you can download this and share it with your colleagues. And this webinar is being recorded currently, and you'll receive a link to that training. And as Jerry mentioned in the beginning, they'll be posting that on their YouTube channel. Access credentials are going to be sent out next week on April 30th. This is an example of what the email will look like. It'll come from a system. It'll come from system@blackcatflex.com. So you will might see that, and don't be alarmed. That is your credential email. You will click where it says here to reset your password or set your password up for the first time. And this is the link that will expire in 48 hours. If you miss that window, it'll tell you that the link is expired. Please reach out to your Seaport, to the central office Seaport team, and they will be able to resend that credential email to you. Any more questions, Kim?
I think you addressed the last two in the chat already. Thank you.
Okay, Jerry, we'll pass it back to you.
All right, thank you, Annette. So thank you for attending today's training. As a reminder, the FSTED application cycle opens on Friday, May 2nd and closes on Tuesday, June 17th. Your FDOT district coordinators are available to assist you with any questions. You can also reach out to the Seaport office through the email web link provided at the bottom of the slide. With that, we'll close out the training, and thank you, Black Cat, and thank you all of our Seaport partners for attending. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.